A few weeks ago, I told you about Bonza, an airline attempting to shake up the air travel market in Australia through regional point-to-point flying. Now, I know that I haven't made a video on an airport in a while, which goes against every fibre of my being. So with this in mind, I think that there's no better airport to refamiliarise myself with airport lore than the very airport that Bonza intends to call their home in Australia. Today we're looking at Maroochydores Sunshine Coast Airport in sunny southeast Queensland, Australia. Maroochydores Airport started the same way a lot of airports began in Australia, which is as a general aviation airstrip. In 1958, the Queensland government set aside this nice little patch right here for aviators of the Maroochy Shire Council to use for taking their Cessna 152s and such for a stroll around the bay. Initially used by the Maroochy Aero Club and Queensland Parachute Club, Maroochy Shire Council eventually funded the construction of a 1,400 metre long sealed runway which opened in August of 1961. The runway's length was chosen specifically to suit the Fokker F-27 Friendship aircraft, which was ultimately an aircraft operated by the very same airline that Maroochy Shire were hoping to attract, Trans-Australia Airlines. A few months later, TAA began operating into the airport, prompting Maroochy Shire to rename the airfield Maroochydore Airport. It wasn't until 12 years later in 1974 that traffic had reached a frequency that called for runway lights to be added to the airstrip, allowing for night landings from 1974 onwards. Then in 1979, in line with the progressive improvement in aircraft along with the need for more on-site infrastructure, a terminal building was built to accompany the airstrip, and the airstrip was extended to 1,797 metres in 1983. This was specifically to accommodate Ansett new Fokker F-28 Fellowship jets, as well as some of their BAE 146 jets, ushering the jet age into the Sunshine Coast. And I'm sure that if you've listened to enough videos on my channel, you'll know exactly what happened to Ansett. RIP Ansett. And so for 10 years, the airport welcomed steady and consistent flights. Then came 1993. The aircraft industry had become a battle of two titans, and the jet age had evolved incredibly quickly. Suddenly, Maroochydore Airport had to upgrade their runway to meet the required length for both Boeing 737 and Airbus A320 aircraft. So it's extended to a length of 2,450 metres, and with all of the new traffic coming from multiple airlines, a new terminal building was added in 1997. With so much traffic, the airport was renamed to better suit the tourism of the region, becoming Maroochydore Sunshine Coast Airport. In line with this name change and to celebrate its growth, IATA awarded Maroochydore, currently known as MCY, a new IATA code, changing from YBMC to YBSU. And then in 2012, MCY went international, as Air New Zealand announced their plans to fly from Auckland to Maroochydore twice a week. As a result, customs, immigration and quarantine facilities were all added to the terminal ahead of the first flight. In 2018, a major upgrade and expansion project was undertaken by John Holland Group to resolve capacity issues at the airport. The project involved decommissioning and converting the existing runway 1836 to a taxiway and constructing a new northwest-southeast runway 1331 that is 2,450 metres long, which I just mentioned before. Now, hold up a second here, because the old runway was 1,797 metres long. Who in their right mind is unstable enough to plan a runway length for 1,797 metres as opposed to a nice, crisp 1,800 metres? At the cost of literally an extra 3 metres. Surely I'm not the only one that thinks this too. This is the least satisfying runway length I think I've ever encountered. Anyway, sorry, I was getting sidetracked. Moving on. As a result, the general aviation runway 1230 was also removed. However, the project faced controversy from airport tenants and nearby communities due to the new flight paths leading to multiple legal challenges, as with most airports in Australia when undergoing expansion. The expansion project also took into account various environmental considerations, mostly considerations that are considered standard for Australian airports, like tidal flaps to convey floodwater, or requirements for offsetting to provide critical habitat for vulnerable flora and fauna, including revegetation of sections to create wildlife corridors for species. And I know that seemed a little vague, but trust me, when you see what the Sunshine Coast Airport body have put together to tackle environmental challenges as part of the airport development plans for the future, you will be truly impressed. The new runway 1331 was opened on the 14th of June in 2020, enabling larger wide-body aircraft such as the Airbus A330 and Boeing 777, Boeing 787 to operate with longer range, and offering direct flights to Southeast Asia, China and Hawaii with minimal disturbance to nearby residents. This upgrade also allowed for more domestic flights, typically using the Boeing 737 or the Airbus A320 airliners, to operate with greater payloads. Air New Zealand extended seasonal flights to Auckland from 2020 to 2023, and following the completion of the airport's expansion, a further agreement was announced on the 25th of June 2021 to secure year-round flights on this route. In February of 2022, low-cost carrier Bonza announced that the airport would be its headquarters and one of its two main bases for its startup operation. And of course, that's the entire point for why we're covering this particular airport this video. Okay, so granted, Maroochydor's history isn't super comprehensive. But the thing is, with Bonza and 777 partners backing the airport as their home, that brings significant investment in infrastructure and development. Maroochydore Airport has huge things coming in the future. And let's be real, I'm just doing this entire video so that I can have an excuse to take a gaze at their master plan. Because trust me, they definitely have one. It's called Sunshine Coast Airport Master Plan 2040, and it's comprehensive and it is amazing. So, let's begin. Vision, tick. Collaboration, tick. Gateway to the region. Wait a second, hold up. What region exactly? Because if we just briefly refresh ourselves on where this airport is situated, and yes, that's right. There's two other major international airports within a drivable 2-hour radius of the airport. So I guess that they're saying that the region is the Sunshine Coast region, one with the population of just 317,000 people. Now that might sound like a lot, but when we compare it with the population of Queensland as a whole, well, yeah. So Sunshine Coast Airport is a gateway to just 6% of one single state that already houses 5 other airports of the same size or larger on the state's east coast alone. Anywho, sorry, look, I got a little bit off topic on that one, but you see my point. The Sunshine Coast Airport Master Plan 2040 outlines the airport's development strategy for the next 20 years. The plan is designed to support economic growth of the Sunshine Coast region while also improving the airport's facilities and services. The plan includes several key developments, including the construction of a new runway, a new terminal building, and improvements to the airport's rail and road infrastructure. Now, to be honest, the new runway that they talk about is actually already built. And when they say it will be wider and longer than the existing runway, yeah, that's already ticked off. And they've already scrapped the existing runway that was in place of the new one. So they're already well on their way towards the final product of the master plan. The new terminal building will be built to accommodate expected increase in passenger numbers, with plans to expand it further in the future. The airport's road and rail infrastructure will also be improved to make it easier for passengers to travel to and from the airport. The airport's environmental impact will be carefully managed with a focus on reducing carbon emissions and noise pollution. The plan also includes measures to promote sustainable development and to protect the natural environment surrounding the airport. Overall, the Sunshine Coast Airport Master Plan 2040 is designed to support the continued growth of the airport and the region it serves, while also ensuring that the airport's development is sustainable and environmentally responsible. They will start by adding enhanced passenger check-in facilities, additional domestic departure lounge space, improved airline ground handling support services, expanded airline offices, expansion of the dedicated baggage area, and they hope to have all of this done at the completion milestone of 2030. When it comes to noise pollution, the airport will work with airlines to encourage the use of quieter aircraft and will also implement noise abatement procedures such as reducing the use of reverse thrust on landing or takeoff. The plan also includes the establishment of noise monitoring programs, which will measure noise levels at various locations around the airport to ensure noise levels remain within acceptable limits. Now, a note on that, the majority of these measures are standard noise pollution jargon, and we can't expect any of it to stand out from other airports, but this noise monitoring program could be valuable in serving if any other measures need to be put in place in future. In addition to these measures, the plan also includes a commitment to ongoing consultation with the local community to ensure that their concerns are heard and addressed. The airport will work with the community to identify and implement further measures to minimise the impact of noise pollution as required. Now, as mentioned, the plan also includes the construction of the new runway that was completed in 2020 to support the airport's continued growth and to accommodate larger aircraft. It was initially designed to run parallel to the existing runway, but to allow for increased operational capacity, it was built at an angle to the existing runway, providing the ability to accommodate up to 60 aircraft movements per hour on the single runway. The construction of the new runway required the acquisition of additional land, including a section of the adjacent golf course. The airport has worked closely with the golf course and other stakeholders to minimise the impact of the new runway on the local community, as said earlier. And the new runway will hopefully enable the airport to attract larger aircraft, which will open up new domestic and international destinations for the region. It's also already providing greater flexibility for airlines to help alleviate congestion on the existing runway. Take Air New Zealand, for example. Okay, so as you can see, the only elements of the Master Plan 2040 that remain to be completed are terminal and ground handling related. And to be honest, with Bonza joining the MCY team, these terminal improvements could not come soon enough. And it's exactly why you'd hope to see the developments being made at Sunshine Coast Airport. I mean, you saw this clip earlier in the video, right? That was a clip from YouTube channel Watch and Sleep, and it was filmed 5 months ago in 2022. That's not footage from a rundown shady terminal from the 90s. That is current day Maroochydore. So work is definitely needed there. Look, honestly, I think that any further announcements for further development and improvement of Sunshine Coast Airport will come as a result of Bonza's success. Right now, with 2 other major international airports close by, Bonza and their financiers are the only real shot that MCY have of securing further significant investment into the aerodrome's infrastructure. So what do you think? Will Sunshine Coast finally announce that second parallel runway? Will the terminal get its facelift in time for 2040? And will residents experience any significant change to the region as a result of the developments? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It's been a pleasure as always. I love making these airport videos and it's been a while since I've done one. So let me know which airport should be next. Thanks for watching. Tell your dad to subscribe and I'll see you next time.